What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 2, Episode 7. And it's called Chapter 18, The Miracles of Sabrina Spellman.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our best lines, our MVPs, our LVPs. So be sure to stick around for the end of the podcast for that.
And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the episode, y'all.
Let's get in the episode. I think they are on a hot track right now.
Hot.
It is getting really good.
It's so good. Like, what did this?
Yeah.
Where did this show come from?
I don't know.
So
I
gagged.
don't know. I am completely gagged. It came from underground and like came up like ripping through the soil and was like, I'm lit. Like, I'm a good show right now. And
I'm living for it right now. It's so fucking good. This episode was so well done, and I'm like so excited for the rest of the season.
Okay, we're gonna break this down again like we usually do with like the little like chapters, whatever. So we are gonna start with Wardwell because I feel like her story was pretty like separate from the main storyline, and I think we can just cover her off. Yeah, this episode I think we can cover off pretty quickly. Sure. So we do start off with Wardwell, and she is really cheesed over Adam because the Dark Lord like done killed him, and her boyfriend is basically dead right now. And so what does she do? So
this was her big like moment of darkness. She is like in her hole and she's really sad and really upset about everything. But yeah, she goes cray.
Yeah, you're right. I think this is one of the first times that we see her really spiral because I think since we've seen her, she's had a real mission and she's had a like an endpoint and she's been in control. But I feel like this one was the first one where we see her lose her shit. And she does still use her powers, obviously, but like she definitely is so emotional. She's so sad. She's so pissed at the Dark Lord. And like we've never seen her like get this mad at him, right? Because she's been sort of like looking up to him since we've seen her. But yeah, so what she basically does in the episode is she recreates Adam, or like she brings him back from the dead. Yeah.
I don't know if she brings him back from the dead because I was trying to figure out like if that was like his head on the body, or so anyway, she like literally rips like a rib out of her body and sticks it into this, it's like a gigantic voodoo doll essentially.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she sticks it in and then it animates him and he's like alive now, and she's like, you have to do everything I say because I created you.
He basically reminds me of like the Mountain from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, absolutely. Like very much that.
Like doesn't talk,
silent
like,
killer,
super strength,
zombie situation. Cool. So she names him. He's Adam, like based off of her like dead boyfriend, and obviously she's up to something. She's setting this all up, but that's kind of her whole mission. This episode is creating this like stick figure and bringing him back to life. And her big line this episode was, I needed to be reminded of who I am. Time to burn a monster.
Burn that shit down, girl.
So what do you expect her to do by the end of the season?
I don't know. She was really, to me, in my opinion, like she was very like I there was so much that happened with Sabrina this episode that I could barely think of Wardwell.
Yeah, that's true. So much happened in this episode, Sabrina.
Yeah, so much.
Anyway,
so let's pivot.
Yeah, let's get into it. So Wardwell's story is done for this episode, but it definitely leads up to something for sure for next episode.
How do you know that?
I don't know. It's just an assumption. How do you know that? It's a secret.
Okay, so let's switch over to Sabrina.
Yes.
And we are left seeing her save. Now she has like crazy powers, right? So she's saving Ambrose because I think it starts injured.
Yeah, it starts right off to like where it was before, where like she comes back to the church and she's dead, like basically, right? She's dead and they bring her into the thing and she's not breathing. I think it was Harvey that brings her in. Harvey brings her into the school and she's kind of dead from like the last episode because she like went down and killed everybody. But then and then she's still got like arrows in her, so I guess she's like kind of like weak again. So they put her down and she's not moving, but at the same time, like Ambrose is bleeding the fuck out. And they're like, Hilda's like, they're not clotting, like something's wrong with like the wounds that they did on him. Like he's bleeding out, he's gonna die. And then you turn and Sabrina's like, oh, I can help you with that thing. So right away she like helps her. She like she doesn't even have to say any words or any spells. She just puts her hands on his chest and she's like, you are alive now. You are alive now. And then he's alive. And then he's good.
So he's good.
He's good. And everybody's like, what the fuck is happening? So that's when things start to be like, what's going on with Sabrina? Like, how did she just come back to life normally? And then how did she just like bring Ambrose to life without even blinking? And I was like, what is going on up in here? It was so interesting. And so then she tells like Harvey, thanks for helping me out, even though you didn't do shit all. I'll see you later. Thanks for everything. And she says thank you for like catching me when I fell, like basically.
Yeah, she's like, you're always there to catch me when I fall. Like, you're so effing cute. Love you, bitch. But then don't forget your boyfriend, because he's like listening to the whole conversation. And of course, like Nick is like standing in the corner, like super jelly. And he's like, he's like, I heard that whole conversation.
Yeah.
And then
I think they talk about that a little bit later. He's like, well, why don't you want me to hold you? And she's like,
what did you think about that? But like, even just the camera glaring back at him in the corner, hearing it, I was like, like, it's so cheese, but like, fine, I'll take it, whatever.
Do you think he's like angry, or is he just generally jealous?
That's the thing. I don't know. I feel like they've pitted, you know, Nick as like this really sexy, confident, like cocky, like wizard, you know, and I'm like, so yes, like, it's already hard for me to believe that he would even be dating Sabrina. I don't know, because I just find it hard to see.
Because they don't look like they should be dating.
Yeah, I just feel like they don't look good together. But then also him being so jealous and like needy, that kind of like surprised me too, because I was like, oh, like I wouldn't picture him to be like the desperado type. I feel like he would be like the angry type to be like, fuck that, I'm gonna go like fuck another girl. You know what I mean? So
right.
But like whatever. I'm like looking way into it. But anyways, so yeah, it was really cute still. He comes by after to like Sabrina and he's like, but I want to be the one to catch you when you fall. Why, Harvey? And
he's like, and she's like, yeah, you're my boyfriend. Obviously, like you literally just weren't physically there, so thanks. But anyway, it's not a big deal. So the entire time, the next day, I think Hilda just tries to get Sabrina to stay at home. She's like, so you got these new powers, like let's just like have like a Spellman day together. And honestly, I was kind of down for that. Like,
I was living for it. I was like, yes, like, put ready. Your PJs on, watch some Netflix, like have like popcorn. Yeah.
Hilda fully like painted like the picture for me, and I was so into it. And then Sabrina, because she's like, it's even raining outside, it's such a shitty day, and Sabrina's like, no, I want to go see Wardwell, and she turns it into like the nicest day ever. So now suddenly out of nowhere, Sabrina can fucking control the weather.
Okay, like, so here's my question.
Out of spell, nothing.
Here's my question. I have two questions. My first question is, these bitches are witches. Do you think they couldn't control the fucking weather before? Like it was such a weak spell that I was like, but I feel like they're witches. I feel like they could have altered the weather before.
The tornado one. I mean, last season they did the tornado one, but they needed like, 4 people.
Like, why were
and
they
like
so
some next
gagged?
level like spell. Whereas like, yeah, Sabrina's so fucking powerful, and I think that's what it shows. It just shows how like she like literally closes her eyes and she's like, it'll be sunny, and it's like sunny. It's like, whoa, she's like a fucking god at this point.
I know you love the powers. Were you down for all of this? Like, were you like living for it?
Living for it. Like, I know that you're not into the powers, so I was kind of worried, but at the same time, I know that for me, this is like my dream come true. This is like her fully realized, all of her magic powers are like thing. Obviously, like a little part of me is like a little nervous because I'm always worried about, you know, you have all these powers, you don't know where they came from, and you're using them left, right, and center. So I'm always worried about that. But no, I'm so into it, and the mystery behind it, it's not like, if I want to compare it to anything, it's like Charmed, where Charmed, like, they have their powers, but you know they have their powers. Where this experience for us, even though we know she's a teenage witch, and that's the whole premise of the show, having her just be able to, like, snap a finger and do something even more amazing was like watching it in a different way. So what did you think?
No, I did. No, I did love it. I loved it. I was so excited for the storyline. I wish it almost came earlier, like when we first got introduced to Sabrina, like in the first season, but this is like a next level power, obviously. Like, she's super powerful.
100%.
I'm down for it. I'm down to see like where it goes. Yeah, and then also sort of leads into, now that she has these powers, she's like, wait a minute. She's like, I can do like everything. And like Roz is like basically her first subject, where like Roz is like, wait, like maybe I do want to see now. Maybe like, you know,
and like, what did you think of that like flip of the switch? Suddenly she's like, she just like sits there with Sabrina and she's like, hey girl, so like I know we like totally accuse you of being like an evil ass witch, but I kind of want to see now because you have like crazy magical powers. Could you
like
fix my
girl,
eyeballs?
just last week you were making fun of your friend for like trying to save you, like, and now you're like, yeah, I'm down.
I'm into
it's
it.
like, okay.
I'm like, okay, fine. The question that I had was, do you think like, so what happens is Roz actually like gets her sight back and like,
yeah,
it's
we
an
were
amazing
talking about
moment.
this too. We were talking about this too because we were saying that like, how come no one is questioning the fact that like if she does get her vision back, will her cunning stop?
Yeah.
But no, they haven't even questioned that, and I'm kind of surprised. And the fact that they haven't really questioned it makes me feel like it probably won't happen. Like she'll be fine. She'll have her cunning and she'll have her vision, you know?
Right. Yeah, I can imagine that happening too, just because like, unfortunately, like the reality is like with a blind character as the main character, it's hard to navigate her through it as well as have this power. Especially the way they've positioned these kids, like they're more adventurers, so like they're gonna be out and they're gonna be in danger. Like it would be so hard to like have Roz blind as well as have her have this like ability to save people. So anyway, we'll see how it goes, because it would be really interesting to see if they do play with the fact that like she has to make that decision again and be like, well, now I don't have that power anymore, you know, like that's my family's lineage and whatever, you know.
And she keeps saying that it's the witch's curse, right? So but I almost feel like it's a curse and a blessing at the same time. Like, you know, yes, she's cursed in the sense that like she lost her vision, but she's seeing the freaking future, like
exactly
a possible future.
For me, it's like, if you're saying that she's cursed, that's like a pretty serious thing to say. Like, she uncursed me means that you lose everything, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like,
no, you're right. Yeah.
So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But she's like so fucking happy.
She's
like Harvey's like so low key like nervous, but also like happy for her. But I think he's also worried about the fact that like there's magic, and he's like, do I have to pay price for this too?
Harvey,
like,
yeah.
His face was very crusty the entire episode.
Harvey was definitely caught in the middle, I think, in this episode. And I kind of did like seeing him in this position because like I feel like he feels so strongly for Roz and like all his new feelings towards Roz. But I also feel like he looks at Sabrina and he's so effing impressed by her. And he's so like enamored by her too. And I feel like he's stuck in this weird place of like, this girl used to be my friend, now she's like my girlfriend, but my ex-girlfriend's here as well, and like now we're all friends again, like we're working to like to save the world. So like it was a really weird dynamic
for sure.
But whatever, I didn't mind it. And then of course Sabrina's so lit on the fact that she's saving everyone. She's like, oh my god, we have to start like blending in real like humans and like witches together and like having like a sick time, like this,
because all the other witches now, they're like, hey Sabrina, like you're so cool, like we're like hanging out with you now. Like the nerd ones, like Melvin or whatever the fuck their names were, they like want to sit with them. But then at the same time, everybody else at the table is like, pss, 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 like Sabrina's like a weird like demon witch lady. So she's trying to like use that as an opportunity to be like, I want to spread my father's teachings to the world and be like, mortals, witches, be together. Like that's her main mission this episode, is like trying to bring the two worlds together, which is kind of cool. But meanwhile, there's this whole situation with Ambrose and the fact that Ambrose is still on trial. So outside of the fact that Sabrina basically like killed it, the council still came and was like, yo, like you're back in school, like you and Nick are back in school, like initiated, whatever, it's fine, but your cousin is now potentially gonna die unless he can come up with some sort of like thing, you know, like some sort of evidence.
Right. So, and also while this is all happening, and I guess this kind of links back to what we're talking about, Harvey is also on his own mission throughout the episode, and that kind of falls into he wants to learn more about the caves, and I guess this kind of starts from all the witchy stuff that's happening right around him. I think that's why he was like, okay, I'm gonna go look back and like see what the F was happening down there.
I didn't understand this part either, because I'm like, why the fuck did he decide? He was like terrified of going to the caves for the first time. Suddenly he's like, I'm bored, I want to go to the caves with you. I
think it was like there's something magical, and he's just experienced now in front of him, like his girlfriend has her vision back, so like maybe like I guess that is what we're jumping off of, but like fine, whatever. So in the middle of all this, Harvey starts really looking into the caves, the tunnels, and like basically the history of all of that. We can get to that maybe like a bit later too.
Okay, so this is cutting to like the next segment, and it's all about Zelda and her old man, but the new anti-pope, Blackwood, is now the anti-pope of the Church of Night. But then the council's like, it's temporary, bitch. And so he's like, true.
Yeah. And we see Zelda, and she's like basically all like Desperate Housewives. Like she's in a fucking like floral print dress. She's acting all weird.
She's like zombified. Yeah.
Like,
did you think that something was up with her from like the get-go?
Yeah, for sure. I'm like,
I was
this guy
like,
put a
she's
fucking
under
spell on
for
her.
sure. She's
like either she's
crazy.
like dickmatized or like he legit put a spell on her. Like.
Yeah, she was like a, what do they call them? Stepford wife. She was like literally a Stepford wife. So
in this moment, go ahead.
Yeah, so they show up, and this is when Blackwood basically says to Sabrina, the only way that you're going to be able to get your cousin out of his situation is to find Leviathan, and Leviathan is like now dead because he coughed him up and he died at Dorian's. So Sabrina's like, I'm going to find this motherfucker and then bring him back to life, and then I'm going to save my cousin. And so obviously Blackwood doesn't want this to happen because he's going to like figure out the whole situation. And so she asks Nick to go into the garbage and find it at Dorian's. He ends up finding it, and she's like sick. Like let's bring it home. I'm gonna bring it back to life. So she brings it back to life. She's like, sick. I'm gonna like put it away. Yeah. The one part that I want to talk about is the fact that Dorian is like a little sneaky gossip girl over here, telling fucking Blackwood the fact that he found Leviathan. What did you think of that whole situation?
It felt so random, and it felt like just like a way to like push the story along, because I was like, bro, this guy's been good this whole time. Like he's been super chill, super cool, and then all of a sudden he's like, LOL, he's like, I just work for the realm. I don't work for anyone. I was like, what? Like, okay.
He literally is like Varys from Game of Thrones. He's like, totally. I have no loyalties. I'm loyal to myself. Like, what?
Yeah. It just kind of felt like a cheesy thing to add in there so that Blackwood would know that they found Leviathan, you know?
Right. So then Blackwood goes ahead and tells Zelda, he's like, you need to find that mouse and you need to kill it right away. And then she's like, robot lady, so she's like, there's a mouse in my house, I'm going to kill it now. So she goes all the way home, and still no one like puts it all together that she's gone crazy. She grabs the mouse from Sabrina's room. Like, poor Sabrina, she's like so excited. She's like, I'm gonna make you a little house beside me, we're gonna like sleep together, and then tomorrow morning we're gonna tell the whole situation and everything's gonna be fine. I'm like, girl, you were so hasty on every single level of all things. The fact that she like waited on this little mouse, I was like, girl, you just wasted your time. You could have just like run straight to the fucking council like you do for everything else. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Zelda finds a mouse. She goes downstairs. It was so fucking disgusting.
I can't believe they showed it. Like that was disgusting.
Like, it was so nasty. So she literally like puts it in. You can hear the mouse squeaking, and she grinds that fucker up. Like he's literally dead. Like she cannot resurrect this shit. So at that point, like you see like it was so gross. It was
it's so gross. Don't talk about it. Stop. It's so gross. And like Hilda and Sabrina are like upstairs talking about something else, and like the only reason why they hear it happening is because like they legit heard the mouse like dying basically. It was like screaming. And then they come down and they're like, what the fuck are you doing, you crazy bitch? Like you're grinding up a mouse.
And that's when I think that's when Hilda clues in. She's like, what the hell's going on?
That's when it clues in.
That's when they clue it in.
Grinding up a mouse in the kitchen.
Yeah. So I think they find the box, but Sabrina's able to just like make it appear because she has this like crazy magic power. So she's like, box. And then the box shows up, and then she smashes or breaks something. I think she like turns something off.
She stops it or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I think she turns off like the spinning like lady or whatever. And that's when Zelda's like, what the fuck am I doing here? What the hell's going on? Why am I wearing this goddamn dress?
Yeah.
And so you realize that she was aware. Does she say like she was aware of what she was doing, but she couldn't do anything to stop it?
Yeah,
like,
it's almost like she was like awake during surgery kind of thing. Yeah, like she could see it all happening, but like she couldn't do anything about it, which is even worse.
That's fun.
So she remembers like everything that she's done, I guess. But what was cool was that I was like, oh, like this girl still gotta like act it out, like as if like Blackwood has a spell on her still, right? So,
yeah, so that's like her plan. She's like, I'm gonna infiltrate this motherfucker and see where I can do to like figure him out. So I'm gonna pretend to be still like a Stepford wife still.
Exactly, yeah. And they return the box back to like where it belongs and whatever. They kind of go about like their business basically.
Yeah. So now we're going to the next day because they're like, no, what the fuck are we gonna do with, Ambrose? Because now the evidence is all gone. So he's at the Church of Night and everybody's there and no one has evidence. So he's about to get beheaded, essentially.
Yeah.
And it was like obviously one of my favorite scenes of this episode,
sure.
But everyone's sitting in there. Sabrina's at the front row and they had a plan going into it. So I was just really excited to see what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And obviously Prudence, who's now like Prudence Blackwood, and she's like all about her like
girl.
Daddy's shit. And so she's kind of like scouting the area. She's like his like henchman. And
well, she's watching Sabrina because because Blackwood does suspect Sabrina to come up with something. He's like, this bitch is up to something,
true.
So like keep your eye on her.
Right.
And so Prudence is watching Sabrina the entire time. And basically what happens is the person, whatever, like the guy that's going to kill like Ambrose comes up slowly. He looked like the Black Hood, basically. He was like Hal with like another mask, basically. And he like comes up to the thing. He's like about to let go of the guillotine.
Yeah.
And it goes down, but like it doesn't cut Ambrose's head. It cuts his own head off.
Right.
So he's like, ugh, and then like he dies.
So he dies, yeah.
He dies. And then I think in that moment, Blackwood's like, did you see her? Did you see what she was doing? And then Prudence is like, no, like she didn't even bat an eyelash. Like she wasn't even doing anything. And it cuts to Hilda with like a doll.
Yeah.
Of like the guy, and like she's the one that like cut its head off. So I was like, oh,
she's
sick.
Like
I'm like, okay. I'm like, they were smart about this. Like, cool.
Everyone's like working together.
Yeah. I'm like, this is a sick plan. And then Blackwood got really annoying at this point because
he got petty as fuck.
Yeah, and I'm like, guys,
loser.
if he's the fucking like, the whatever of the
interim anti-pope,
yeah, I'm like, he can't be acting this fucking petty in front of everyone. And he's basically like, oh, okay, someone else do it. Someone else like come up and kill Ambrose. And he's like, he volunteers like a tribute, like a young like whatever warlock, and he's like, you come and do it. And the kid's like, Like, it was just so stupid and so unorganized. And I feel like this is
doesn't
official.
He say to Sabrina to do it? Like, doesn't he
yeah,
say,
and then
like,
he tells
Sabrina...
her, because then she tells him, she's like, you should do it then. If you're like the anti-pope and you're the leader of this church, you should do it. And then he's like, no. He's like, you should do it.
It's fucking true.
Like,
I was like, clap back, girl, clap back.
They sound like little kids. I know. And then, of course, in that moment when he looks at her, he's like, no, then you do it, Sabrina. You come and kill your cousin. She... In that moment, somehow,
the best
I don't know
fucking
how the
moment.
Fuck she did this, but the Dark Lord legit comes in. Yeah. I thought he legit came in. I was like, yes. I'm like, he's about to.
He's like, stop this madness at once. He was like, you are such a fool. Yeah. And then all you see is this cut to Sabrina's face, and like everybody's kneeling, so she has to kneel too. But she's like tightening, like her hand is really, really tight. She's like
a Betty, like thing.
Like hand clench,
fist clench, yeah.
And but she's the one that's kind of creating this like apparition of the Dark Lord, so as it actually isn't him. And all the while, Prudence on the side is like kind of noticing her like say all these things. And so the Dark Lord basically says like, you have to free Ambrose. You're an embarrassment to the church. Like Father Blackwood.
You're a pretender. Like he calls out. I mean, she calls out. She calls out Blackwood like as a pretender, as a fake. Like, well, you're doing all this thing for bullshit. You better let Ambrose. Like, you better let Ambrose go. He's fine now. Like he's been tried or whatever, and like he's innocent. Yeah. And then just in time, like you can tell she's like kind of getting like she's losing her energy. Right. She sort of like lets go, and the Dark was like, okay, bye, gotta go.
He's like, he disappears. He
just like disappears. And everyone in the church is like, oh my God, wow.
Gagged for life. Yeah.
Like totally gagged.
So cool. Like her powers are insane. Yeah. And that's the thing that like kept killing me was every single thing that she did this episode. We even forgot to mention the fact that like she made like flower petals fall from the sky and during school at one point. I'm like, it was, and that moment too was very like, it's definitely paralleling Jesus and the miracles of Jesus.
For sure.
Even the episode is called The Miracles of Sabrina Spellman. So it's just amazing to see her perform these miracles because she's just like, her powers are insane.
Yeah. And the way it all went down was like a really cool, like choreographed sequence. I love the way they did it, and because even it tricked me for like a hot second too. For sure. As the audience, like you're very, very like intrigued and you're excited. And then what happens in the end of that whole scene is like basically the council looks to Blackwood and they're like, you're done now. Like, we're taking the anti-pope title from you until like we figure out what the F is going on in this church, and like you're being demoted basically. So Blackwood's even more pissed now.
He's like cheesed. So then I think this is the moment when Sabrina talks to Nick and she was like, I am ready to spread the word of my father. And so she basically wants to throw this like crazy ass party and show them that witches and mortals can get together. And what did you think of this whole idea before we get into what actually happens?
I was down for it.
I think that we were always ready for like the mortal world and the witch world to kind of come together. And even though it sounds so simple for her to say it, you do have to realize that this is like an epic moment for everybody on both sides, right? Like, mortals haven't been with witches. We see both sides because it is Sabrina, but like we don't get to see mortals actually hanging out, like other mortals hanging out with other witches, you know?
But did the mortals know that they were all witches?
No, that's the thing.
Okay, so then like why was it so epic? I don't get it.
Well, as the party went on, they start to learn a little bit more about each other, but then like it gets stopped, and she was gonna do something that would have like made them all be like gagged about it, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's
like
true.
It's not like the witches are at this party like basically performing spells the entire time. You know, they're there to just hang out and like get drunk with the rest of the mortals. So like they're still teenage kids. So anyway. So that's what she wants to do. So she throws this party at her place. Everybody's lit. First of all, that was like the best, like most lit party I've ever seen.
I know.
Ever.
The lighting was amazing. I was
the lighting was on point. I was like, recap rewind colors. Like the music was on point. There was a fucking DJ in the background. Like everybody was so into it. It was so much fun to watch. And then she comes up with this idea. She's like, okay, when it comes to a certain time, I'm going to call everybody out to the front and I'm going to do like a full out miracle and everyone's going to be gagged. And like, now we're going to like marry both of the worlds together.
Right.
And everyone's kind of nervous. Like Nick is like, you know what you're going to do? You're going to basically change the entire world and how things are going to happen. And she's like, I'm good. Like, this is exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So she's on the roof.
I think what happens sometimes is like, because she's so chill, because she's so easygoing, it takes away from like the intensity of that moment. So like when you're talking about this in this moment now, I'm like, true, like it's a huge moment. But like when I was watching it, I don't know, like I didn't feel like it was this crazy, never before seen moment because she's so chill about it, because she's like, yeah, whatever, cool, it's not a big deal. So that makes me feel like it's not a big deal either.
Yeah. No,
I don't know
what you mean.
I'm just kind of being picky about it, but like, yeah, like in that moment, I just didn't see how big and epic it was gonna be.
Yeah.
But I did love that shot when she does get onto her roof, and I guess she was gonna ride the broomstick. Is that what the point of it all was?
I don't know if she was gonna just step off of it or like.
I was like, girl, what you gonna do there?
I don't know what she was doing exactly, but I knew that she was gonna like
so cool.
Do something amazing, and I was so fucking excited. Like she's like, everyone. And she's about to step off the roof, but before we get to the final moment, we got to cut back to Harvey and Theo playing like, I don't know, Dungeons and Dragons over here.
I don't even know what Minecrafter is, but like, fine, whatever.
so basically, Harvey goes into the mines. He hears a voice at some point, and he runs back home.
Right before, so is that when he goes to read? He goes to read like the history behind the tunnels and the caves, and I guess his dad has all the notebooks and the paperwork. Right. Like their family's been a part of the caves, and he does get to a point in the books where it does say that there's this tunnel 13 that like everyone got sketched out at, that like people got sick from like I guess working in it, or like they saw a woman there.
Right.
Just basically like fucked up shit that happened in tunnel 13 that they basically had to cover it and like not let anyone go down there like forever. So he was like, okay, I gotta go down there. I was like, cool.
I'm like, so really, you want to go right into like full out danger? Like, don't tell anybody. Like, it didn't make any sense. So anyway, and that's the thing. Like, his newfound courage to go into the mines to help his dad and work is one thing, but for him to decide to literally like take on a potential murder mission,
it was too much.
Like, no, Harvey, like that's not you at all.
Like, when did that happen?
Like Theo's more of like a person that's like confident than you are.
Boss. Yeah,
Theo was like fucking boss. So Harvey tells him, and Theo's like, yeah, I'm totally down to help like you with this adventure. Let's figure this out. So they get down to the cave, and of course they hear the voice again. They go down there, and then they open up this area, And it was pretty creepy. It was
very creepy. Oh,
it was funny that Theo actually mentioned the movie The Descent. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it's literally like blind demon rabid like cave monsters like running after this like group of people. Anyway, so as soon as she says that, literally this fucking like woman in white like just lunges at Harvey.
Yeah.
It was such a fucking crazy moment. And like there was a struggle, and then suddenly like Theo, I think, is the one that fucking like murders her.
Yeah, because she was about to kill Harvey. Like she was straddling Harvey's dick, and then like basically like Theo's like, get off my friend, and she like hits her with like the axe or whatever, and she kills. Yeah. She kills this. Is she a witch?
I guess they said it was like a white witch alive. Or like some protector, because she wasn't powerful.
Yeah.
Like an albino witch lady.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, she did, and so then. Cutting back to the house party.
Yeah.
She's on the roof. She's like ready to go, and she's ready to step off. As soon as she's ready to step off, Harvey at like the perfect moment is like, "Stop this party right now." And he says he tries to get Sabrina down, and Sabrina's like so on her mission. I'm like, girl, just do it and then like go down after. And so it's totally fine.
No, because then he brings out the fucking quote. He's like, if you ever loved me, you'd come down right now. Come here if you ever loved me. And everyone at the party's like, awkward. Like, what? Ross is like, bitch, what did you just say?
Poor Ross, man.
Poor Ross.
This girl.
And then Sabrina like gets down. She's like, oh shit. And like she actually like she comes down. And at that point, like Harvey and Theo like freak out. They're like, oh my God, you have to come. You have to come to the cave. Like we found something. You have to come.
Like, you need to like go right now.
Yeah.
And like that's the thing. I was so annoyed by Harvey and Theo at this point. I'm like, you guys are fucking adventurers. Whatever you find in there is not even important. But
like,
then they get to the
take a photo of it. Take a fucking photo on your phone and then show her.
I know. So literally, they go to this cave, and I'm like, this better be fucking good. If it's not good, I'm gonna be so annoyed.
Yeah.
Because like you just ruined like one of the most lit parties of the season.
Yeah.
So she goes in, and it was totally worth it, guys. Like she fucking shows them what he shows them what they found. It's a fucking mural of Sabrina that's been sitting there for all these fucking years that the witch has been protecting, and it's like her with the crown, and her eyes are white, and like. Sabrina's like, oh shit. She's like,
and
fuck.
It's
like
basically like an apocalyptic like world behind her. So like everything's basically burning and whatever and destroyed behind her.
Yeah.
And then the camera kind of cuts to her and she goes, the Herald of Hell?
She's like, I am the Herald of Hell. And
everyone's like, oh, what is that? Yeah,
like,
it was such a good ending.
That's where you got your powers from, girl. You're a fucking demon lady.
You're
so
like devil Jesus.
What a crazy episode.
Yo, honestly, I have to say, like, shout out to the writers. This show, I don't know where it turned, like what street it turned on, but it turned on like Amazing Street, because like this shit is amazing right now. Like,
these so last couple episodes have been so intriguing. I was like, this is binge worthy to me. You know what I mean? Like I would watch the next episode, you know?
Yeah.
I was living for this finale, like this part of the episode for sure.
Yeah.
Let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment. My best moment has to go to, I think, Sabrina glamoring as a Dark Lord.
Oh my God, so
because
cool.
Honestly, like it tricked me for a second. I was like, wait, is that the Dark Lord? And then I was like, I'm like, you tricked me, girl. So no, it was a really cool moment.
Yeah. And just goes to show like how much she has so much power right now. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's unreal how powerful she is. My best moment is gonna go to the party. For one, like it looked like the most lit party ever, and also because she was about to like change the world with this party, bring the mortals. And even though it didn't happen this episode, I hope it happens in the future. I'm really excited.
WTF moment. My WTF moment I think has to go to just them entering the cave and like this albino like bitch just like showing up. Like I literally jumped. I was on the subway watching it and I jumped from my seat. Like it was just she was like screeching and like it was such a weird noise and then also obviously the mural that we see at the end. I was like, what the F does that mean?
My WTF moments, one of them is gonna go to Zelda killing Leviathan the way she killed him. I was like, oh, I was like, what the fuck are you doing on screen, girl? Gross. That was so fucked. But my second one is going to Theo and Harvey for having the worst timing ever at a party. Like, girls, boys, you should have just waited like 5 seconds and let her like do it and change the world, and then she could have helped. But Who knows?
MVP. My MVP is gonna go to Theo for killing the albino witch. I was like, yes, Theo, yes.
Theo has been so fucking badass.
Honestly.
Like, he was so badass this episode. I was very impressed. And honestly, I know that like we used to rag on Susie way back in season 1, but I really like the way that they're turning Theo's character right now, because he seems very like engaged and very like excited to like be a part of this world and this story.
Every character has to find their groove, and I think this storyline with Sabrina is really putting everyone else into a good place, and it all connects and it's all making sense. Like, it's really, they're in a really good place right now.
My MVP is gonna go to our girl Sabrina for one episode. Finally, she like does something amazing. She like has her plan. She's ready to go. I don't know what this whole situation is gonna mean with her being the Herald of Hell or whatever, but I was living for her magic powers. She was so cool. Like, she's my new hero. I'm excited.
LVP.
My LVP is gonna go to Ambrose, because you know what? This guy is supposed to be the wisest warlock. He's like the oldest person around. Like he like I keep looking at him and I'm like, he doesn't offer any good advice. He doesn't do anything. If anything, like, he's constantly being saved by everyone else.
That's true.
And I get it. He's gonna get into weird situations. Like, I'm okay with that, but it's like he doesn't really provide anything else other than that. Like, he almost got his head chopped off. Nothing happened. Like, there's nothing he's doing that's actually like helping the story.
We definitely need to see him in more of a like active role for sure. Yeah. And maybe now that he's like out of jail, things will change, because now maybe his mission's gonna change. Maybe he still wants to take down Blackwood, but he'll do it like in a better way instead of just like trying to kill him at a church like, in the middle of everywhere.
Even this whole thing with him, like, you know, being in prison, like him just saying find my like familiar, like, or he probably didn't even say that. Like, he should have had another sort of idea. Like, he had no idea. He was just like he was just like stuck. I'm like, what?
Yeah, for sure. They're really like, they're not using his character the way they should, but I hope it's gonna turn around for him at some point. Another character that I hope is gonna turn around for is my girl Prudence, because I personally love the actress Tati Gabriel. I love like what she brings to the character. However, Prudence is a loser right now, and she's like backing up her dad, who's a douchebag. So I hope that eventually we're gonna see this like empowered version of Prudence, and she's gonna like take her dad down or something. Like, I just need her to be on the same side as everybody else, because right now she's like being annoying. So
for sure.
Even this episode, she was like, father. I'm like, shut up. Like, you got the name and now you got even more annoying.
It's like daddy. She's like the Veronica of like
instead she says like daddy. She says
what do you think about Ambrose and Prudence? Like, I know it's such a typical cheesy romantic storyline, but there is something when they're on screen together, like when the two actors are together in a room, like there's a chemistry there that I'm seeing between the two of them, and like I want to see it more. I want to see them. It might not have to be a romantic relationship, but like even just like a friendship or something. I want to see them together more. I don't know what it is exactly that I want from them.
I love seeing them together too, and maybe this is what it is. Like, they're both our LVPs this episode, and maybe bringing them to like the same level will have them have the same mission. Because I can imagine Prudence at some point in time saying like, "Fuck my dad," and then if that's Ambrose's mission too, like he like helps her.
Or he helps her or something.
Yeah, he's like, you know what? I'm down. I'll help you out, girl.
Yeah. The best line. My best line is going to go to Hilda when she says to Sabrina, "You better brace yourself, girl, because everything has a price.
True.
You are racking up a cosmic debt, the likes of which the world has never seen." So definitely, like, I feel like a little bit of foreshadowing of like, Sabrina, you're going to get fucked.
But at the same time, I was like, why does everything have to have a consequence? Why can't you just let her have this?
Yeah, yes and no. Like, yes, I feel like because Hilda's just assuming that like there's gonna be a debt. But if Sabrina is like the child of the devil, like maybe she's not gonna have a dad. Like this is really her destiny, you know? So like, you know, we'll see. I guess
that's a good point. My best line is gonna go all the way back to the beginning of the episode with Wardwell, where she says, "I needed to be reminded of who I am. Time to burn a monster."
Damn.
And while this whole thing is happening with Sabrina in this episode, which was amazing, I'm just excited to also see where Wardwell connects to all of this. And I'm also living for her character. Like, her story arc has been amazing this episode of the season.
You're right.
Like,
yeah.
So into it. So excited.
I was excited for her for sure, but then this episode she was so muted that I felt like, not that she was so muted, like there was a lot to it, but like it just,
she just like didn't
didn't care as much because Sabrina's storyline was so lit, so I kind of forgot about her a little bit. But yeah, I'm
like
excited.
Damn,
as well.
like RAS, like big ups to all y'all. This show has like literally been like really exciting to watch the last little bit. I'm so excited to see where this all goes. Let us know what you guys thought about this particular episode. Make sure you guys are commenting below. I'm going to take this time to thank our patrons of the episode. Our Rewinder squad, we got White and Wesley. And then our Lit Rewinders, Tina Ann, Sarge, Serena, Kate, and Soleil. And Mommy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, and Tamala. Thanks, guys.
And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind, exclusive content, and updates.
And also make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. And you can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes. Like, subscribe, follow, review, and comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.